There is no test for it, no certificate, no obvious sign. But if you have ever sat in a room full of people and felt like you were experiencing the same moment on a completely different level, you already know what this video is about. Deep thinkers and everyone else can be in the exact same situation, having the exact same conversation, living the exact same moment, and yet what happens inside them is completely different. Today we are going to talk about those differences, not the obvious ones, not the ones people usually talk about, the quiet ones, the ones that nobody names but everyone who is a deep thinker has felt their entire life. Stay till the end, because the last difference is the one that explains everything else. Let's begin. Difference number 1, how they process information. When something happens, most people process it once. They hear it. They understand it at face value. They file it away and move on. But a deep thinker cannot do that. When something happens, their mind processes it on multiple levels simultaneously. The surface meaning, the implied meaning, the historical context, the emotional undercurrent, the possible motivations behind it, the implications they have not even spoken yet. Most people hear a sentence. A deep thinker hears a sentence and everything underneath it that was not said. This is not overthinking. This is not anxiety. This is a natural depth at which certain minds engage with incoming information. Psychologists call this elaborative processing, and it runs automatically in deep thinkers whether they want it to or not. The result is that deep thinkers are often several layers into understanding something while everyone around them is still processing the surface. And that gap is quiet, but it is always there. Difference number 2, how they experience time. Most people live primarily in the present. Something happens. They respond. They move on. They live relatively close to the current moment. Deep thinkers live in a very different relationship with time. Their mind is constantly moving between past, present, and future simultaneously, replaying conversations from years ago, anticipating situations that have not happened yet, connecting something happening right now to something that happened a decade ago. This means that while everyone else is simply in the moment, a deep thinker is in the moment and also in 17 other moments at the same time. This gives them an extraordinary capacity for pattern recognition, for learning from history, for anticipating what others miss. But it also means they are rarely fully present, rarely simply here, rarely able to just be without their mind pulling them somewhere else. The present moment for most people is where life happens. For a deep thinker, it is one of many places their mind inhabits simultaneously. Difference number 3, how they react to silence. Most people are uncomfortable with silence. They fill it with small talk, with noise, with their phone, with anything that prevents them from sitting in stillness. A deep thinker experiences silence completely differently. Silence is not empty for them. It is full. It is where their best thinking happens, where ideas form, where connections emerge that could never have surfaced in noise. While most people reach for their phone the moment they are alone, a deep thinker often finds that their most alive moments happen in solitude, in the quiet, in the space between things. This is not antisocial behavior. This is not loneliness. This is a mind that requires genuine quiet to do what it does best. A mind that finds noise expensive in a way that most people never experience. Silence for most people is something to escape, For a deep thinker, it is something to protect. Difference number 4, how they handle conflict. When conflict happens, most people react. They respond emotionally. They defend their position. They focus on winning or losing. They say what they feel in the moment without processing what is actually happening beneath the surface. A deep thinker approaches conflict very differently. Even in moments of genuine emotion, their mind is simultaneously analyzing what is really being said beneath the words, what wound or fear is driving the other person's behavior, what the most accurate understanding of a situation actually is, whether their own position is genuinely correct or simply comfortable. This makes deep thinkers capable of extraordinary fairness and nuance in difficult situations. But it also makes conflict exhausting for them in a very specific way, because they are not just having the argument, they are processing the argument on 6 levels at the same time. Most people leave conflict feeling vindicated or defeated. A deep thinker often leaves feeling drained by the weight of everything they understood that nobody else seemed to. Difference number 5, how they relate to other people. Most people connect through shared experiences, shared humor, shared preferences, the comfortable ease of similar surfaces. Deep thinkers connect differently. They need depth. They need realness. They need to feel that the conversation is going somewhere that actually matters. Small talk does not just bore them. It genuinely drains them, because maintaining surface-level interaction while their mind is operating at a completely different depth requires a kind of constant translation that costs real energy. This means deep thinkers often have fewer close relationships, not because they are antisocial, not because they are difficult, but because the level of connection they genuinely need is rare. Most people cannot sustain the depth that a deep thinker needs to feel truly known. And so deep thinkers often move through life with a quiet loneliness that has nothing to do with being alone. It is the loneliness of being in the room but not being truly reached, of connecting at the surface with many people and at the depth with almost none. Difference number 6, how they process their own emotions. Most people feel an emotion and express it relatively directly. They are angry. They say they are angry. They are happy. They show it. They are sad. They reach out for comfort. A deep thinker's emotional experience is far more layered. They feel an emotion and immediately begin processing it, analyzing it, tracing it back to its source, questioning whether it is accurate, understanding the other person's perspective so thoroughly that they sometimes talk themselves out of their own valid feelings before they even have a chance to express them. This is why deep thinkers are often described as calm or hard to read, not because they feel less, but because by the time their emotion reaches the surface, it has already been through an extensive internal process that most people never run. They feel deeply, they process privately, and they often carry more than anyone around them ever sees. Difference number 7, how they see themselves. Most people have a relatively stable and consistent self-image. They know who they are. They feel confident in that knowing. They move through the world with a kind of self-assurance that comes from not questioning too deeply. Deep thinkers experience themselves very differently. Their self-awareness is so high that they are constantly seeing their own contradictions, their own inconsistencies, their own gaps between who they want to be and who they actually are in any given moment. This makes them extraordinarily honest with themselves, genuinely growth-oriented, deeply self-aware in ways that most people never achieve. But it also means they rarely experience the simple confidence of just knowing who they are without question. Because a deep thinker always has more questions about everything, including themselves. And that endless self-questioning is one of the quietest and most consistent differences between a deep thinker and everyone else. So there they are, the quiet differences between deep thinkers and everyone else. How they process information on multiple levels simultaneously. How they live in several moments at once. How silence is not empty but full. How conflict is processed on 6 levels at the same time. How connection requires depth, not just proximity. How emotions are felt deeply but processed privately. And how self-awareness brings honesty but rarely simple confidence. These differences are quiet. Nobody announces them. Nobody teaches you how to navigate them. But if you are a deep thinker, you have felt every single one of them your entire life. And here is what I want you to take from this video. These differences are not flaws. They are not things to fix or hide or apologize for. They are simply what it looks like to carry a mind that goes deeper than most. If this video describes something you have always felt but never had words for, leave a like. It genuinely helps this channel reach more people who need to hear this. And subscribe to InnerIQ, because this is exactly what we do here. We decode the minds that the world never took the time to understand. Which of these 7 differences felt most like you? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one. See you in the next one.